Now, we'll be taking this equation as a reference again. From this equation, I'll pick the last two parts from here to here, which says 1 minus Q2 by Q1 is equals to 1 minus T2 by T1, and the 1 gets cancelled, and in short I get Q1 by Q2 is equals to T1 by T2, where T1 and T2 are the temperatures which are denoted by the normal thermometers which I just mentioned, which may cause the variations and we may get errors in our calculations. So what scientists did, what they said is that instead of taking T1 and T2, they introduced a new scale of temperature which denoted the temperature with the symbol of tau, and with this my ratio will become Q1 by Q2 is equals to tau 1 and tau 2, where tau is you can say is a linear function of t, or it is some linear multiple of t or some addition of t, due to conversion of T1 to T tau, what will happen that when we will be considering this ratio, all the variations which we are coming across will eventually get cancelled on its own. So this is the, you can say, the safest scale of temperature to be used worldwide for any calculation. Suppose I am working on something and I you can say concluded some results. So to put those results in a standard language, I will convert all my temperatures to this temperature scale, and these temperatures will remain the same for the worldwide people to consider. They can convert this temperature back to their local temperature scales and the variations will be minimum. I will not say variations will be zero, because this is the real life. We may encounter many variations. So even under the most ideal conditions or situations, we may get a little bit of 1 or 2% of errors, but that is ignorable. So the perfect scale of temperature to talk about during the scientific laws and languages, it is this absolute scale of temperature. Sorry, I didn't updated the topic name, so I'll change it now. This is absolute scale of temperature, right? So now what is the relation between this tau and T? So this tau, or this absolute scale of T, is basically the Kelvin scale. Yes, you have come across this Kelvin scale multiple times and you have converted your temperatures into this Kelvin scale multiple times since your school days, but why this was introduced is the reason we have just started. Because in junior classes you are just told to convert all the temperatures to Kelvin scale before any calculation. So why we used to convert them was this reason. So this is the Kelvin scale, and it is a linear scale which says tau will be equals to T plus 273 Kelvin. Means suppose tau is my Kelvin scale, T is my degree C plus 273 units of Kelvin scale, right? Suppose I am working at a temperature of 0 degrees Celsius, so that means in the Kelvin scale my temperature is 273 Kelvin. So this is the relation of this absolute scale of temperature. Whenever we will be doing calculations or statements or results, we will always give the temperature limits in the Kelvin scale. Now, absolute scale of temperature, I hope it is clear to you. Also, this absolute scale of temperature is similar to the perfect scale of temperature. Why perfect? Because what we do is we always study the laws and the rules and the every theories related to ideal gas equations. But when we start working in the real life, we come across the errors, and the most approachable gas, which is very near to ideal gas, is my perfect gas. It is not the ideal gas, it is the perfect gas, and that perfect gas will be studied under this absolute scale of temperature. And that is why we'll say this absolute scale of temperature will also be known as the perfect scale of temperature. So with this, this topic is also clear. Now the next topic is absolute zero. I am only changing the heading absolute, sorry, not also this. I am only changing the heading and not all of this, because to understand the absolute zero, again we need to go through this, right? Now, tell me one thing. Suppose this is the absolute scale of temperature, and while I am dealing with the absolute scale of temperature, my efficiency will be work done divided by Q1, or it is the work done divided by tau 1, right? Or it is 1 minus tau 2 divided by tau 1, where tau 2 denotes the temperature of the sink in Kelvin scale. So I'll say this is my efficiency. Now, Carnot theorem said that we cannot have the efficiency of 1. Why we cannot 1? I'll tell now. For the efficiency to be equal to 1, my ratio of tau 2 by tau 1 should be equals to 0. That means tau 2 is equals to 0. That means the temperature of the sink is 0 Kelvin, which is known as the absolute zero, because this is the absolute scale. So in this scale, the 0 degrees will be absolute zero, and for the efficiency to be 1, the sink's temperature should come down to absolute zero. Now, why it cannot come to 0? Because at the absolute zero temperature, what happens is, it is the coldest temperature we can think of, and it is not attainable. Why? Because as you start approaching the absolute zero, before even you approach there, every movement, every motion, every vibration, every kind of kinetic energy tends to zero. Everything, every single particle, every single molecule, every single electron comes to a standstill. You understanding? When everything is coming to a standstill, there will be no work done, because everything will freeze. So we say at the absolute zero, everything ceases to have any motion, due to which before even approaching to 0 Kelvin, there we will start facing problems of working material, and no work will be done before approaching that limit. And that is why we cannot attain this temperature, which was also followed by the second law of thermodynamics, which said that you cannot go to you cannot have a working substance which is cooler than the coldest temperature body around its surrounding. So you cannot attain this due to which you can never have efficiency equal to 1 or 100%. And therefore, the efficiency of Carnot reversible heat engine will be the maximum you can attain. So this was the absolute zero. Everything will freeze, everything will cease to have a motion. That is why we cannot attain the 0 Kelvin, just like we can never attain the speed of light. So this was all for today, and we have completed in today's lecture. We started with the second law of thermodynamics, Kelvin-Planck statement about the second law of thermodynamics with reference to heat engines. Then Clausius gave the another statement of the law, which was in reference with the refrigerators. Post that we did the Carnot theorem, which was the limitation of the efficiency, that the maximum efficiency you can reach is the Carnot's efficiency, otherwise you will have the efficiency which will be lower than that, and it will be same for all the heat engines working with the same temperature limits. Then we did the absolute scale of temperature, why we were introduced to absolute scale of temperature, what is absolute zero, and why we cannot attain the absolute zero temperature, and why we cannot have 100% efficiency of a heat engine or a refrigerator. So this was all for today. Please go through these lectures. Try to recall a little bit of details. Go through the previous lectures. Any doubts you come across, you can always leave in the comment section. In next video, we'll be talking about the entropies and the topics related to entropies. So please go through these topics, and we'll meet tomorrow again with the next topic. Till then, do like, share and subscribe to my channel, which is Teacher Cool, and stay connected, stay updated with chapters.